So far we have covered the 1D array in Java or the array in general. Now it is time to check out what is a 2D array. Now the 2D array is basically the collection of same data type in two-dimensional array, or we can also define the 2D array as collection of the 1D array. So let us take some example of the 2D array. So first of all I will define few 1D array. So here I have defined the 4 array of integers. And as said, the 2D array is the collection of the 1D array. And to define a 2D array, we need to use the syntax of, let's say, int followed by square bracket open and close, and again square bracket open and close. Give it a space and give your variable name. Let's say my first 2D array. We need to insert all these array. So either we can use like this: first array, give it a comma, second array, give it a comma, third array, and then fourth array. So here what you can notice, my first 2D array is basically the collection of the 1D array. Now if you modify the code further, this first array can be replaced by this statement directly. So let us copy it and paste it here. And again let us copy this statement and paste it here. And again similar process for the third array and the fourth array. And now we can remove all these redundant code from here because we no longer need them. So here we have the collection of 4 integer array altogether present within the first 2D array. Now to give it a two-dimensional look, we can simply hit enter and make it in the second line. Similarly the second array. So now it is actually looking like a two-dimensional matrix. It has a row and the columns like this. Now how can we access the elements of the 2D array? Now we can simply access it by using my first 2D array, and then as a first index you need to pass the row, and then second index will be of the column. So let me make it more simpler. Here this is my 2D array, right? Now the indexing in case of 2D array is done like this. It starts from 0 again and here as well. So these are the rows and these are the columns. Now if I want to access the element of 51, so in that case I will simply use this statement. My array, the row of 51 is 3, so I will use 3, and the column of 51 is 1, so I will use 1. So it will simply print out 51 in the output. Now similarly if I want to print out 9, then in that case we have to use the print statement followed by the index of row and column. Now this 9 has the row index of 3 and the column index of 3. So I will use 3 and 3. This will simply print out 9. Now if you notice here, for each row I have 4 columns. So we have to iterate it 4 times for the rows, and for each row we have to iterate it 4 times again. So here we have to write our loop in such a way that we have to cover up all the elements. So for that case we need to use the for loop and the counter variable of, let's say, row equal to 0 followed by row smaller than the number of rows present, which is actually 4. Now this 4 we can also get it by using my first array dot length. Now the length of the 2D array is 4 because we have 4 rows present here. So altogether the length will be 4, right? Followed by semicolon, then row plus plus. And now within this, for each of the row, that is for row 0, row 1, row 2, row 3, we have again 4 columns. So again I will use the nested for loop, that is a for loop within the for loop. So now I will use int column equal to 0 and then column smaller than my first 2D array index of row dot length, and then column plus plus. Now why I have mentioned here my first 2D array row? Because for each of the row we have to find the length as well. That is the length of this row, length of this row, and again so on, right? And now within this let us use our print statement of my first 2D array. The index will be row and the second index will be of the column. Let us now run the code and let's see what happens. So we get all the elements in the output console, starting from 3 and ending at 9. Now let us format our code and make it look similar to what we have here. So for that purpose, we have to remove the ln part and also append a blank space so that a space will appear in front of all the elements, right? Let us now run the code. So here we have all the elements in the same line and they have a space in between them. Now let us make them appear as a row one below the other. So for that, after the inner loop, let us use system.out.println. So this ln part will simply break the elements of one row stacked one below the other. Let us now run the code. So we get the output as we want it to get. So this output you can compare it with our elements present here. Now I will give you a very small assignment. So right after this video, you will get the code practice. So in the coding exercise, you have to write a program to find the sum of all the elements of the 2D array that we just created inside our IntelliJ IDE. So go ahead and modify the code and find the sum of all the elements.